Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Love's Labor's Lost, and today we get to hear from Nathaniel, who you're probably saying, who is Nathaniel? Nathaniel is the local priest, and he's talking to the local teacher, Holofernes? I always pronounce that name wrong. And they're there also with Constable Dull. So this is the beginning of a joke. We have a priest, a teacher, and a police constable are all out on a deer hunt. And they walk into a bar. I don't know, something along those lines. No, they're not actually in a bar. But as this is a continuation of Act 4, though in some versions we're now in Act 4, Scene 2, but in the folio we're still just all in Act 4. They had to tie this conversation between the teacher, the priest, and the constable together somehow. So they start out the scene and they're commenting on the hunting that the princess has just been doing. And Holofernes, as the teacher, loves his words and likes to use big words, and he likes to use lots of synonyms for things. So he's like, the sky, the heavens, the clouds, the up above, the glorious something or other over our heads, blah, 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 instead of just saying up there kind of a thing. Whereas the priest, and then of course Constable Dull, are much simpler in their language, and as they're talking about the hunt that has been happening, the teacher is of the opinion, or at least under the impression, that the deer that the Princess of France shot was an older deer. So he's like, oh, and that old majestic deer that was shot, and Dull is like, no, it was a pricket, which is a deer that's like 2 years old and still fairly young and spry. And he's like, no, how you are so wrong and you're terrible. And Dull's like, yeah, except it was a pricket. And the teacher is like, oh, dude, you're horrible, ignorant monster. And Nathaniel, being the priest, is going to be the peacekeeper in all of this. And he says, sir, he hath never fed of the dainties that are bred in a book. He hath not eat paper, as it were. He hath not drunk ink. His intellect is not replenished. He is only an animal, only sensible in the duller parts. And such barren plants are set before us, that we thankful should be, which we taste and feeling are for those parts that do fructify in us more than he. For as it would ill become me to be vain, indiscreet, or a fool, so were there a patch set on learning to see him in a school. So omne bene, say I, being of an old father's mind, many can brook the weather that love not the wind. So he's basically just standing up for Dull. And what's sort of lovely that follows this is Dull's like, all right, I've got a joke for you. And sorry, there isn't a lot more explanation for Nathaniel's speech. It's basically just he's sticking up for the less educated than Holofernes. So anyway, then Dull comes back and he's like, yeah, I got a riddle for you. What has been around since the time of Abel and Cain, but it isn't yet 5 weeks old? And the answer is the moon, because the moon has been there forever, but every 4 weeks you get a new moon, kind of thing. And he's like, haha. And so the same way that I proved that the deer that she shot was a pricket. And then they move on. No, it's actually, what do we have tomorrow? Sorry. Tomorrow we get to hear from Holofernes, who has a bit of a retort to that. So we're not done with the classifying of a deer in Act 4, Scene 2. Or just Act 4, as it's known in the folio of Love's Labor's Lost. But we will get to hear more about it tomorrow. I will see you then for that.